Will call this meeting Wichita County Council to order. Y'all please join me in prayer. Father God, we come together today awed by the blessings you have given this country, this county, and the residents in it. We look upon you to lead and guide us and forgive us when we fall short of the things you've given us. Father God, watch over us on this meeting today and let us deliberate on the behalf of the citizens of this county. Father, we ask that you take care of those and watch over those in uniform that serve, and all that our first responders. Lord, we ask these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take seats, please.
So much phones wearing me out.
Well, I'm having another one of those pads. All right. Well, you would take action on the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second, or I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to make note on item 8, that Commissioner Watts has successfully rigged out a new vehicle for the county at about $1,500 cheaper than what we had previously been paying. Good job.
Well, and when do you know for sure if the sprayed bed liner is on the truck or not? Because, I mean, I hope I'm cut out. Seems like you look at new ones now, they're either, they could have them and they might not have them. I guess it'd be in the specs with
It
it.
is in the specs.
Yeah.
There's a factory bed liner, and then there's one that the dealer applied, and so that's the deal. And I would bet it's in a package. I'll bet you it's in one of those, you know, they have certain option packages, and I bet.
Oh, I bet that,
Yeah,
that's what
some
that
of them
is. I
include
didn't
that,
think
some
about
don't.
that.
Yeah.
Tell you how you know when you order that stuff, if you'll just ask Willie, because he knows.
You know. Yeah, don't miss this.
So just remember, you know, we've got where you guys signed for those. So
Yes.
You better look at what's there. He didn't sign it. Item 6, Commissioner Harvey, the evidence room, the second longest project.
It's always taking a back seat to something, like we had to stop when we moved all of our colleges stuff in there. These are just little knick-knack stuff, little items that we had to, and we did it ourselves in-house with
Yeah.
Lowe's, bought the stuff, used the inmate labor, saved a substantial amount of
Are we
money.
gonna move that back for them? Because that area is pretty well finished, Commissioner Beach, or not?
They did, Matt walked the final punch list Friday and then talked to them.
Okay.
And along those lines, I talked with Garland Prince, and he's got a electric forklift to go in that facility to put that stuff up on the top racks.
That's awesome.
But it's in Texarkana, and he's looking for a trailer to move it on, and forklifts are very difficult to move,
Yes, they're low.
They're
and
low.
hard to get on the trailer.
and they're heavy. So I suggested that he see if there wasn't one available to rent, and he was gonna check into that this morning, and if not, we'll come up with some way to get it, but he said it'll be a perfect electric.
On
forklift.
my small forklifts like that, which
Yeah.
are still very heavy,
Yeah,
I just call a rollback record, because they can scoop them right up.
yeah, that's a good point.
Why
Yeah,
can't you
but
take another forklift and set it on?
you can, but you
Yeah,
gotta get it off,
Big forklift.
and you gotta get it off. Well, they can load it. He said that's not a problem.
Yeah.
They can fork it on there. But if you don't have that thing set on the cross members on the trailer, it'll break the,
Yeah.
I experienced that.
I have
Oh,
too,
yeah.
but you know what we could do?
And then it's
If they
down.
can load it up there,
Yeah,
we can take the big wheel loader over there.
Probably.
Chains on it, pick it
Yeah.
up with the bucket and set it off.
yeah, it's good.
I've got a low boy gooseneck, 24 foot.
Yeah, but you can't get it, wonder what floor, that's gonna be the problem. You don't wanna set that thing on a wood floor.
It is wood.
It'll break it.
Well, what I did was I put cross members between every cross member
That's
I had, and I ordered 2-inch rough cut oak,
Yeah, Well, you can put a sheet of steel down and set one on it, that, you know, that spreads low, but, I mean, you gotta be careful, because you'll sure tear up a good trailer trying to do that. Anyway, we discussed it Saturday morning, he was gonna look at some alternatives this morning, and see what it's gonna take to get it moved, and, that's kinda where we are, but anyway. Judge, if it would be appropriate, would you allow me to read in the resolution into the record on the unfunded mandates?
Yes, sir.
I think it's important that people
Yes,
that
sir.
watch this understand what that's
Totally
about.
agree.
And if you'd let me read that in, I would do that at this time. Whereas Texas counties are responsible for the operation and management of many and various governmental programs as required or authorized by state law, and whereas some county government programs are fully or partially supported with funds dispersed by the state of Texas pursuant to the state appropriations process, and whereas the state of Texas, acting through the Texas legislature, or through a state agency or executive order, may enact laws or promulgate rules that have the effect of imposing mandatory financial obligations upon Texas counties, and whereas the state of Texas, acting through these means, mandates that counties implement certain governmental programs or perform certain duties and obligations, including financial commitments by county to expend the county funds in connection therewith, and whereas during each regular session of the Texas legislature, all state funds that support county programs are reviewed through the state appropriations process and by other state budgetary review systems, and whereas these processes may result in a reduction or cessation or state financial support of county government programs, causing a disruption and reduction in the county budget and operations, and whereas these unforeseen financial obligations interrupt reliable financial planning and negatively impact bond ratings sufficient to support county-related obligations, well, when the state mandates a new program that is not fully funded or under conditions where the state reduces or fully withdraws prior funding and disbursement of county government programs. Now, therefore, the Commissioners Court of Wichita County does hereby resolve that it is in the best interest of Texas counties and their taxpayers to favor and support the passage of legislation to allow for an amendment to the Constitution of the state of Texas that would expressly prohibit the imposition of mandatory governmental program on Texas counties, whereby, whether by an act of the Texas legislature or a state agency or by executive order, unless the state of Texas has fully funded and dispersed all necessary funds to enable Texas counties to implement and operate said program, signed by the county judge in the Commissioners Court in Wichita County, Texas.
We have received some grief from, of all people, Robert Pratt.
I can imagine that.
And he's saying, and there is some legitimacy to what he's saying, that all these things that the counties are saying are unfunded mandates, we are an extension of the state government, so everything the state does, we should be able to do. And we should do those things they delegated to us. And we're not complaining about that as much as we're saying, then don't turn around and tie our hands when it comes to funding and paying for it. When the law on mental health was written way back when, it said we were to take care, I think the way they had it in was we were to take care of the insane people in our county. And that's about all it said. The concept was you would care for them, there were state hospitals, we would get them from here to there, they would accept them. They beat people that took them there out the door more often than not.
The
And
patient.
Yes, yeah.
so we have that, we have one.
Now clarify that, nobody beat anybody.
Yeah.
But-
I'm just saying, by the time the officer or the person who finishes the paperwork, often they've been assessed and are out the door. We used to run jails and they had adequate facilities. Now we have all these things prescribed now to include probably for us a $300,000 package of mental health in that jail. The money for indigent defense keeps going up, yet this last biennium, the lieutenant governor cut the funding by 7% into that, and there's a balance, as reported to us at the new judges school week before last, saying there's money in there, they're holding it back to balance the state budget. There's $5 billion in prescribed funds that had another purpose, but the state uses to balance their budget. And when they hold back those things that are come to local government, the comptroller's office also finished their audit of funding of public education of schools, K through 12. And we had gotten in trouble for saying it was 38%, which was half what it used to be. Actually, the comptroller said it was only 36%. They also are forcing school districts to stay at their maximum tax level, which that's the big tax burden on everybody.
Absolutely.
2/3 of what we pay is generally the school taxes. And it has grown so much in the local. Robert Kraft does not want to be confused with alternative facts on his radio show. You know, I hope he listens to this. I'd love to go on there with you and go mano a mano with him. But these things that come along, the standards expected in Captain Patterson's jail operation are far different than they were when it was counties would have jails. And, you know, the things we have to provide in the way of medical care, mental health care in our jail are way beyond the scope of imagination when those things were created as part of local government. I'm looking back at our county clerk and I'm thinking of the elections process and what elections now cost compared to what they did. And interesting enough, if the state wants to call a special election, that's at our expense, it's not theirs. So there are just so many things that are required that are far different when the concept was created. Well, let the counties take care of that. And
And you know,
it's hard
Judge,
to imagine.
I don't think any of us deny that the way I see county government is almost, we are the application arm of state law, of state government in many, many ways. We're the ones that put it in motion when a state legislature comes up. We have no problem with that. I think that's a great thing for us to do. I think we do it very well. But it continues to cost more money to do that, and sometimes the funds don't come along. And if you put some kind of a requirement on county government that does not have funding to go along with it, you've got two choices. Yeah, you can raise property taxes, which is nearly our sole source of income. It's not 100%, but it's the majority. You can either raise property taxes or you can cut some services out somewhere else. That's the choice. And that's really what this is about. We do want to be that application arm for the state government, but it costs money to do that. And that's where the rub comes in. It's paying the bills.
I want to go in my 2 minutes, and Woody said it 100 times. Everybody that ran for office ran on cutting property tax. That was their deal. We're going to cut your property tax. We're going to limit the ability for the counties to raise your taxes. And what amazes me is our state legislatures, they don't collect property tax. But they do mandate for us to do certain services. One of the services that really aggravates me is everybody that owns a home in Wichita County pays a portion of their insurance premium to support volunteer fire departments. The state budget for that is like $38 million. Last year they had requests of over $200 million, and we only spent $20 million. So I don't understand that. If they collect money on behalf of some entity, the entity should receive the money. And they brag about balancing their budget, but they're doing it with funds that are dedicated to the services of the people in this county. So it's very frustrating for me to not want to say, you know, hey guys, balance your own budget. You collected tax dollars for this purpose, give it to us. I don't understand how they can do that, and it's okay. So whenever these state legislatures tell you that they're fighting for your property tax, you might ought to change the subject and ask them why don't they fund the things that they're supposed to fund, and we won't have high property tax. That's the bottom line. You know, your county taxes are the lowest taxes that you pay. City and school are more than what we charge, and our maximum tax rate is 80 cents. if the state doesn't start funding the programs that they're collecting for, we're gonna hit that 80 cents and we're gonna have to start cutting services. So, guys, don't think for 1 minute that we're not doing everything we can to pay our bills and not raise taxes, because every man and lady in this front desk up here, we pay taxes.
Absolutely.
So when we do raise our taxes, it impacts us personally, but it's not something that we want to do. It's something we have to do. So if you want to lower your property tax, then you crawl up the coattail of your state legislatures and get them to fund the things they're supposed to fund, and it takes a big burden off of our property taxpayers. So just remember that when you get mad at us.
Judge, on
Yes,
that
sir.
note, just for my clarification, you know, I don't see how any entity could use encumbered funds for a purpose and balance their budget with it as unencumbered revenue unless they listed that line within their budget. But is a guy traveling from California to New York and gets stopped in Wichita County, he's our burden, correct?
Yes.
Solely. And then on the pay of those funds collected, what is the law about how we pay the state on funds collected? So every money that Lori collects or Patty collects on behalf of the state of Texas, when is the rule we hand over that money?
It's generally on all those things we collect. It's as soon as possible. Some are up to 30 days, but generally speaking, you know, we are supposed to render that. And now with the electronic transfer of money and stuff, it's
Some of it automatically happens?
I'm gonna say it probably divides and then flows out. It still has to be sent, but it's.
So there's
you know,
no way to
approve. When you go in and renew your license tag, you pay that money. Mr. Smythe doesn't have to come over and ask us to send that money. It's formula and it's sent. So, you know, that kind of thing. Now, everything we do, we have to go back and justify to the state, get back, like on jury fees, we have to send them the paperwork. Our tornado shelter program, that it was gonna be a maximum of 2 months. Well, they got tied up with other things, and we were 7 months, Nancy, was that right?
Yeah,
Right,
nine
right.
months.
Yeah, and of course, people are saying, well, why don't you give us your money? Well, we don't have your money. It's down at the state. And luckily, Joyce and Nancy worked hard to stay on that, and we're pretty close to even up our we were.
Yep.
Yeah.
About 94%.
And so that's good. We would like to have more of those. They've told us there is, but, you know, we're gonna tell people going in, we can't promise you when you're gonna get your money back. But
Well, I noticed this morning on Texas Public Policy email that now City Council in Austin discussing if these property tax reforms come to fruition, maybe we should pull our horns in. The example quoted was $22.8 million for domain developers there in Austin that's building. Maybe we pull our horns in and we don't do those anymore. And so we retain that money for infrastructure purposes solely and not give tax incentives to businesses trying to come and start up. And how flourishing would that be for the state?
well, it doesn't really affect the state because they generally don't abate anything on school taxes, which is their dog in the fight. What we can do and what some counties are doing now is doing the Chapter 385 or 383 programs where it's payment in lieu of taxes. So that money is other revenue, doesn't figure into your
Levy.
tax-based rollback levy. You know, so, you know, it just means we're gonna become more dynamic maybe in how we play the game instead of everybody being straightforward and saying, part of what it says to me, I talked to Robert Henneke with Texas Public Policy, sent me a letter and said, would you please sign this pledge card that you will support lowering property taxes? And I called him and said, Robert, I'll sign a pledge card that says lowering expenses. And I thought I got disconnected. And, you know, and I explained to him, I said, why don't we look at things like indigent health care? Instead of us having a separate office and running it and going through this, the state, if we had an interlocal agreement with the state, we could send them that money we normally would use for that, and then they could turn it into federal dollars at 2 to 1, and let them administer that program. That would be some savings on us. Same thing with indigent defense. Set an amount, county's gonna pay per capita, and then the state reinsures above that. Instead of it keep growing up 3 to 5 to 8% every year because of the number of people. If you look at the report Mrs. Flores turned us in of how many more felony charges came into play this last year, I bet you every one of them had a court-appointed attorney.
Yeah, we see them every Friday morning when we go through invoices. You bet.
You know, so it's, part of it is, we've got to, if we're not gonna change how we do business, and I was in the North Texas Judges meeting last Friday, and, you know, I'm glad that nobody had a rope, because I said, guys, we've got to change the way we do business. Do we need 254 counties anymore? You know, and look at what we're doing. Do we need, I think it's 1,200 school districts.
Right. You've gone meddling now.
Yeah, I know. He's a football coach, you just cut down the number of superintendents.
That's right.
But if we don't change how we're doing business,
Yeah.
then we're not doing it. And then the other thing, we talk about the state sending money. Every bit of money that the state has came from all of us.
Absolutely.
So it's a matter of who pays for it. Representative Frank has said something I wish he could get more traction on, is let's look at what the duties of cities, counties, and the state, and quit having overlap and
Yes.
duplicity
Yes.
and conflict in carrying those out. But if we don't change, we're just gonna keep wallowing in the same mud hole. And wondering why we can't get out.
So, you know, Judge, in reality, and with the legislative session underway right now, if we can come up and solve the school funding issue, that would go a long way toward taking care of the property tax issue. I mean, to me, that's the biggest component of it right there. If we could solve that puzzle, that would be the best thing they could do.
But that means they're gonna have to dedicate more sales tax money, but that's still, any way they do it, it's still our money
I agree.
and going to them by one means or another.
But they don't need to double collect. They don't need to collect our money for those purposes, put it in the bank, and then have us collect it again to do those things.
I think
Spend that money on the things that what they collected it for.
I think they learned that from the federal government. I think they taught that lesson.
Our representative, Frank, and along with Representative Springer, got 2 of the budgets to release some of that money. They
Yes.
didn't get it done this time, and I'm gonna bet you they're not gonna get it done next time. That money's gonna sit there, with over $100 million in the 911 account. You know, I feel woe is the day that somebody has a wreck out in rural West Texas and doesn't know where they are, and they don't have the update on the PSAP equipment to identify that cell phone location. That's, you know, but not, those all east of I-35 don't go out there.
Yep.
They're not worried about it. So, it's a different thing. But, one of the governor's friends reached out with me last week and wants to talk to me. I'm sure this is what it's about. It's, you know, because we've been vocal at the state level in doing this. All right, any other discussion on this? Mr. Hampton, you look at the tree, got a little, you know.
Well, I'll wait for voluntary remarks, but I just came back from a treasurer's / everybody's conference. This is one of the reasons I went down there, because of this ad valorem controversy down in Austin. And you might find it interesting what some of the judges had to say to me.
Okay, all right. Any other comments on the consent agenda? We have a motion for approval by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner Beecham. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 1, general business is to review and approve the regular bills for payment.
Judge, we reviewed the bills on Friday. If Mark's moved, I'll second it. I think
you written down.
well, either way.
Either way, I'll take him for the second.
But that, you know, that is one of the things that this court took on that, you know, doesn't have to be done, but we review every invoice every week, and I think it's been a good, exercise, and I think we've all learned a lot by doing
It
it.
keeps us educated on what's going on.
Absolutely, it really,
No, and I know there's still things we would like more detail. I visited some with the judges on the bills they're approving in a way and telling them we'd like more detail. Some of them, there's attachment times, it's just, here's $1,100. And we don't always get that. Any other comments on the bills? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Beecham to pay the bills. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is discuss, consider, or take action to approve the Wilbur and McCabe Plumbing Company estimate of number 25060E in the amount of $3,750 for removal and repair of kitchen drain in the jail to be paid by 100.5111.4454 repair and maintenance building equipment. Our line is determined by the county auditor.
Yes, Judge, asked that we table this for right now. Staff has come up with a way to work around this problem and think it'll be successful. We'll just table it pending our next jail inspection, see if it's good with the boys at state.
Can you tell us what it is?
Rewrite it to a different floor room, rather than tear out the whole floor right now.
Should
We're
you,
20 months out from.
should that be run by the jail commission so we don't?
I can contact them today. I don't foresee it being an issue. It's not a trip hazard or anything like that. We just rerouted it to using some PVC off the washing machine, the dishwasher drain. Instead of it draining into that collapsed drain, we've rerouted it. So I don't see it being an issue, but I can contact our inspector today.
I'm just saying, I think it'd be a good idea to say, play heads up and find out.
Yeah.
Because after the detail they got into on the showers, you know.
Yeah.
Do they inspect toilet paper if we got the right grade of toilet paper?
I'm not sure. I hope so.
institution, directional grade.
Right, all right, Commissioner, we'll do that. Item 3 is discuss and consider take action to approve the Texas Flooring Gallery quote dated January 30th, 2019 in the amount of $2,012.39 minus the furniture moving cost of $150 for a total of $1,862.39. For flooring in the 4th floor CPS courtroom to be paid 100.510 courthouse facilities with lines to be determined by the county auditor. Commissioner Beach.
Yes, Judge, a request was made to replace the carpet in the entire suite on the 4th floor courtroom. After receiving the initial quote and going up and taking a good hard look at the carpet, this is an alternative plan just to replace flooring in the back half of the courtroom itself for the actual carpet floor and stain where it's been cleaned several times and it won't come up. The alternative is to put down vinyl plank flooring, wood look vinyl plank flooring in the back half, so if anything spilled, whatever, chairs running across the carpet, tearing it up, it'll take care of that. So.
Will that have any negative impact on sound and stuff like that? Or?
It's just the back half, the gallery, if you
Okay.
will, and behind where the lawyers' tables are. No, I don't think it will.
And thing you might add is signs of the entrance there says no food or drink.
Yeah, agree.
And wasn't there an issue a year or two ago with a step that's in the courtroom that's?
We took care of that
Okay.
last week.
Okay.
the week before last.
Good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we covered it when we
But
redid
this
that.
is a much more affordable alternative that they see they're happy with and make it work well.
Second? Is this Texas Flooring Gallery, is that the same as Texas Carpet Gallery?
Yeah. second by Commissioner Harvey, to accept the alternative proposal to use vinyl flooring in the back half. Any other comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item 4 is discuss, consider, take action, authorize precinct 4 commissioner to sign Brunton Truck Sales Incorporated retail purchase order in the amount of $44,565 for purchase of 2019 Mack P164R dump truck at a cost of $139,565 with a trade-in from the 2000 Mack CHU 613 dump truck at $95,000 for it. Net payment of $44,565 to be paid from precinct 5 change.
4. This is his truck.
No, it's our 5 truck.
Well, why wasn't I included in this conversation? I'm in charge of precinct 5.
Well, you were, you're the one that brought it up.
Well,
Me, you and
Precinct
Willie.
5 truck, it's due in,
That's what we're
March.
talking about. You were the one that brought it up to me and Willie.
No. I haven't been in the loop on anything on this. All I know is my truck was coming up. And I knew you had a truck and precinct 5 had a truck.
Yeah, I've got an old
I
truck.
don't know what this, P164R, I don't even know what that is compared to CHU 613. I would appreciate, we're gonna do precinct 5 stuff, that I be included in the conversation.
Well, but you're the one that wanted the whole deal initiated. Me and you and Willie had a discussion in your office.
All I said was that the truck was coming up, it's on the
We
3-year
needed to
deal.
get it cleaned up.
Didn't ask you.
Yeah, you did. You asked me to have my guys clean it up and get it appraised from Josh.
That's it,
All right, Jim.
whatever.
Well, I mean, that's all we did was get the appraisal on it. And they've offered $95,000 on trade-in.
Well,
Good to know.
you know, if I can speak to it, I think when we started, it was a precinct 4 truck. Then there were 2 belly dump truck tractors and trailers, belly dump trailers. So it's sort of up to y'all, which, one of them was precinct 4, which was, I think, started out as this one that's on the agenda today. And then the 2 belly dump were in precinct 5. Now,
We had a 15-yard dump truck, tandem axle dump truck that we bought first and put in precinct 5.
Yeah, and that's the one I thought this was, Willie. We keep it at our yard, or most of the time it's out there, but.
I don't know, it's up to the court, you know, how you want to split it up. All right. But the reason they put it on as this way was because I thought the dump truck was precinct 4.
So that's what I thought too when I saw this, because you did buy one and then precinct 5 bought one. So that's why I thought you were doing your truck, not
Well,
precinct
do we
5.
have 2?
We do,
Where's the other one at?
my yard.
A new 15-yard.
Well, it's 3 is coming up on to be traded in. We've had it 3 years.
Is it a 17, Lee? Probably 16 or 17, I would say.
I don't know.
But I'm totally confused because I thought you told me that we had that truck and we need to get the tar cleaned off of it, and
We did.
I had,
Because Josh told me that he wanted to get it cleaned up so he could come and look at it and give me a quote on it. And that's the last I heard of it.
do you think they're sister trucks?
I'd have to go look.
Did we buy
got
2?
belly dumps and 2 over-the-road trucks in precinct 5. And we got one
One
15-yard, dump truck in precinct 5.
And you think that's at your yard?
And you bought one on your own.
I thought it
I'm
was
I'm
at your yard.
confused. I thought the
it was at your
precinct
yard.
5 truck was at my yard.
I did too.
It was. Remember, we didn't want everybody in the world driving it, try to keep it one person or one team driving it. That's what we did with the first one.
So we bought 2 15-yard trucks.
I believe that's correct, Willie. Help me. Have a look.
I've got it as, it was 2 belly dumps and.
Yeah, so
And
I know we did that.
And 2 over-the-road trucks.
I-
The 2 over-the-road trucks
I have
pull
to
the
go
belly
back and
dump
check the
trailer.
minutes.
Yeah.
Willie, the 2 over-the-road trucks pull the belly dump trailers.
why not go back to square one and find out what we have?
That's a good idea.
And then
Well,
make some decisions.
I thought we bought two, one for precinct 4, one precinct 5 when we bought this 15-yard.
that's what I thought too.
But
That's
that's
what I
my
thought.
memory,
It was
so,
on the truck.
yeah.
What number? do
Yeah,
we-
the belly
Talking
dumps are,
about the truck tractor. that
yeah,
pulls
we're
the
not,
trailer.
that's a whole different deal, we're not. I know we
The
did
truck
that,
Tractor that pulls the belly dumps, we bought them in trailer
There's
and
two.
truck, we bought two.
yeah, and they're both precinct 5.
That's correct.
That's the way I.
But that was just last go-round. The time before, do you think that the budget year before, Willie, we purchased two 15-yard trucks?
16 and 17.
In my mind, it was two belly dumps and.
Yeah, well, we know we
No,
did
we're
one.
Yeah.
going a year back.
A
We're
year
back.
ahead of that one.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to table this until I know more about it, if this is a precinct 5 truck. If it's not precinct 5, then go ahead.
Well, let's do this, no action to be taken on here, but, I mean, do we want to, if this is a 3-year-old truck in November-ish, and this is a precinct 5 truck that we're setting on, do we want to trade it in for about a $42,000 difference?
You do like Commissioner Muller did, and he took this 44,565, and he divided it by the hours on that truck. That's what he did with his motor grader. It
Yeah.
cost him $7
That was about $8 bucks. Yeah.
an hour to own and operate that. If this truck comes out the same way, then yes.
Well, I just
that's
did
what
it
we
by,
need to
I
do.
just did it by the year.
Yeah, well, you gotta look at it from the, there comes a time, in all vehicles, when you get to a certain level, you keep them and wear them out.
Yeah.
And you trade while you've got,
Good stuff.
good stuff to trade. So that's kind of the decision. It's, what is the overall condition of the truck? I assume it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had originally talked, Lee, if I remember, and we actually talked about this with the belly dumps, I know that our plan would be to try to keep them updated and to retain some value and maybe do a 3-year trade on them or stagger them and do them. I mean, that was part of the
Right,
discussion.
but I mean, if it's good for the goose, it ought to be good for
Sure.
the gander.
Oh, you're right.
So, I mean,
Is that a trade? Would we be better off to sell them for bid?
well, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Because he said there's just been an overflow of people inquiring about the
Yeah.
truck at 95,000, or with them pricing it from us for 95,000.
Might be the best of both worlds. You know, you got a floor,
Yeah, we know where the floor
and
is.
so to put it out for bid, to see if
Somebody-
we come out better on that. The
That's
road
what I did on my motor grader.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was gonna say, you got a bid right here, so
Yeah,
you know
you
where
know what your bottom is.
Yeah, that's right.
But the other thing, we ought to come in here, and when we talk about equipment, we ought to have, we ought to know the year it was purchased, the model, the mileage, hours on it. I mean, guys,
Yeah, and
we would
general
hold
condition.
anybody else to that standard.
Yeah, well, we know, the mileage, Judge, I went and looked at the mileage myself. It's
What?
only got 9,700 miles on this
Oh,
truck.
Well, yeah. When you told me the other mileage of.
Well, I tried to look and see what I was looking at that had 60,000 miles on it, because I saw a report on one with 60,000 on it, and I thought, I questioned how we got so many.
I wondered that too, but I was kind of proud. Well, I'm over that now.
Well, we need some more
Okay,
information.
we'll get more info.
But we talked about a numbering system a long time ago, that precinct ones, I think would start with 100 and.
I tried that.
4, 5, huh?
Yeah.
I tried that.
I mean, this truck, and that's why I'm going, the truck that I'm talking about carries a 5,500 number, and that's all of those things, all of mine carry all of my trucks are 4,400 numbers. All of the precinct 5s that we're holding are 5,500 numbers, and this is a 5,500 numbered truck. Either I've got it wrong, and
Yeah, we need to find out. I thought we had two, but we may not. But Judge, to your comment, and we did talk about that, and that was supposed to be a feature of our new accounting system, is it was gonna have a place in there to do all that, and it would be a great management tool to
But you know, Big Chief tablet with some lines.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Still works every
Still works
time.
well.
Still works every time. And the virus package on it's pretty cheap. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's,
And no batteries.
yeah, don't leave it laying around where it's not supposed to be.
The biggest danger to it is coffee cups.
That's right. Absolutely.
Oh, I always am amazed the level of intellectual acuity we hit in these conversations. Okay.
You're getting into my territory now.
Yeah, so no action on this item, but I think there's some value, but the other thing that Commissioner Watson and I talked about the other day was really to look at, I keep thinking, we keep scheduling things, how we're paying for them, whether it's a lease or paying outright. We don't have great balances throughout the precincts, so we need, but eventually those $10, $20, $30, $40,000 a year lease payments start adding up.
Now, Willie, we carry that in capital expense, those payments, right? When that's like my capital expense line in my budget is a lot higher than the capital I actually have to spend, but that's because it takes into account the payment of those payments, correct? Is that?
No,
We don't encumber the total.
the way it is, the lease payments go to 301, so they come out of the precinct money.
So we don't encumber them but one at a time then, like annually, I guess would be the deal.
Like annually?
Well,
Mhm.
the auditor makes certain note what that gross purchase is, and then, but that may be one thing we look at, how that's done. That could be that road and bridge tax would be an area that maybe we should have that funded in there and bring that money over to the 301.
Well, is that under a lease agreement, that's an expense to us?
Yes.
But under a payout on a note, that would be an INS expense to us.
Well, it could, at least we're going to INS too.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's an encumbered expense, you're committing to it, and then when you put it in INS, then that's gonna get paid. That's a much better deal.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking, Judge, is if I lease to own a truck, I can expense it. If I buy one outright with a note, I
Oh, no.
cannot do that.
You have to depreciate it.
Yeah, but that's a tax consideration. I mean, that's a tax
Well, we don't pay
consideration.
taxes.
But,
That's the deal.
that's what my question was, I guess, is the road and bridge tax covered it, it would be outside of INS rate.
Yeah, but it could be, you collect it under road and bridge tax, you transfer the funds to the
Oh,
interest
okay.
and sinking fund to pay the encumbrance of that cost. That's just something we need to look more into if we go into the 2020 budget.
And your INS fund is your 301, as Willie said.
Yeah.
It's one and the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, we're down to public comments. Mr. Hampton.
I do, Judge, and gentlemen, I had a wonderful week down at San Marcos with the largest class ever on investment counseling for anyone that wants to sign up. 83, largest class ever. And of course, majority of it, probably 50% of it was brand new treasurers. We've probably got 70% turnover this year in treasurers alone. Retirements and all through the South, some of my old friends were defeated because of block vote, and which was real sad because one of my dear friends was treasurer there in Harris County, and the new guy's a nice guy. I'm not sure what he knows about investing. Had lunch every day with the county judge from Andrew County and Hood County. Both said, be sure and tell Judge Gossam we send our regards.
Good guy.
Both nice guys, I'll
Yeah.
tell you. And try to eat lunch almost every day with somebody different. A lot of commissioners.
Was that because the day before his lunch, they didn't want to eat with you again, or?
Well, I noticed most commissioners used a knife and fork.
That was good.
The thing about it is they're all real concerned about this ad valorem tax, and the fact is that we're all on the same page in that. interestingly enough, we can't seem to get much traction in Austin. And everybody was agreed that that's the way we make our money. I know we have some other fees and fines, but that really doesn't pay the bills. And so ad valorem tax, and then when I get to tell them about how money comes in, you know, quarterlies, we send the state 95% of the money that we make, we take in, we do all the work, we record it, and then we send the state of Texas 95% of that money. They allow us to keep 5% of our money. And so, just like you said, Commissioner Harvey, there's something going on down there. I'm not able to get a balance through my circles of colleagues and friends of what's in the rainy day fund. They did slip at a treasurer's conference last year and said that the rainy day fund is not invested by a professional investor. So when I tried to pursue that conversation, this guy said, I'll get back to you. And so there's millions of dollars in that rainy day fund, and we don't really know how to track it. So that's something that we ought to be thinking about too, Lee. So that's the other side of that is. And the other point is the Fed rates keep going up, and they had some great college professors out of Texas State that did that, and so I had some nice long conversations with them, and they all agreed that, first of all, our federal debt, that's very disconcerting. $21 trillion, as he portrayed it, that's $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. Now, I can help you, and he had some great examples that I wrote down, and you know, this is not something that we just have to, oh well, and then move on to the next subject. Serious money. When the Fed rate goes up, that reduces the money supply. And so it makes it harder for us to borrow money. And so my question to the professors were, the short-term rates and the long-term rates are almost the same. And one professor told me, well, they're worse than that, Bob. They're inverted, in which historically in investment circles, that means recession is on the way. And so my job is to tell you what's going on and to suggest to you that I think we're headed for some critical times, and I'm hoping that you'll, just like this conversation about this dump truck, we probably need to think about running these trucks until the tires come off. And I know what Commissioner Muller said about selling them back, but I understand that. I did that to a Jeep with 200,000 miles on it. I had to give it away,
But you need a plan.
But
Yeah.
that's my job, is to tell you guys what's going on, and then you, hopefully that helps you in your decision-making process. I know you're overwhelmed with this jail deal and all this other mess, and I want to help you as much as I can.
Well, this lease program is saving us money.
Well, we still have to pay the bills though, Commissioner, so.
Well, I understand that, but if you're saving money, then you have more money to pay the bills with.
Well,
Period. I mean, this is a good program.
Well,
And
your indebtedness though
if
is
you don't
always,
understand it, then come by and we'll go over it so that you can get on board with it. But this is a money savings effort on our behalf for the county.
hey, you don't need to justify to me,
I'm just saying.
I'm on board, but
Can I ask a
I'm a
question,
county,
Judge?
just like you said, and I totally, you know, that's part of the conversation. We had an hour and a half for lunch over there. And that's what I said, you know, just like Robert Pratt, I listened to him the other night and I was almost called in. But he
You
has
got a number
some,
to call him? I can't
but his
find it.
bad, yeah, I'd love to call him.
Well, you
Because
gotta
he-
find a number.
That's the Green
Well, I'll
Mountain
get
Grill
you,
line.
yeah, I'll get the number for you. But he's very clear about his, he's got a wounded deal there, you know, from Lubbock County.
Yeah.
And he even mentioned the salaries of the commissioners and the county judge, and you know, and so those are the kind of things that we, just like you said, Judge, we got 254 counties. We got some counties that don't have much income at all.
Right.
And so everybody's hurting except Harris County, who has, they don't have a treasurer that takes care of their investing. They have two professional brokers. Both of them are there, and they're so they, you know, it's a very, very it's a completely different dynamic than most counties. But Harris County, is just like I got up and told them, I said, there's no such thing as Harris County, it's the Republic of Harris.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody agreed with that.
And they've got more state representatives than we have in all of West Texas, but that's a whole other.
Yeah, that's.
I had a question, Bob, just for a second, not.
Oh, let me
for a long
finish
time.
before I forget it.
Yeah.
Murphy Davis will be here on March 4 to give, and that's one thing that the judge from Andrews County, they don't have a treasurer. Andrews County doesn't have a treasurer. But he told me, he said, I didn't realize how complicated it was for you to do your job, Bob, because we did one whole day on the Public Funds Investment Act. And so that, but he's a nice guy and former Navy man.
You mentioned inversion.
Yes, inverted the bond curve.
Okay, so you're saying long-term,
Long-term is going down and the short-term is up.
Okay.
So we're right here, right now. And historically, investment-wise, that's when recession kicks in. Now, recession is part of the everyday investment environment. But the judge's daughter is a stockbroker. She knows it's a different animal up there in New York.
Right.
They're the ones that applaud abortion. So anyway, this is pretty serious stuff, and I'm hoping to give you more information because we got, we hadn't bought our steel and other stuff. We've already got caught in the inflation crisis, and that's part of the recession is inflation, Commissioner.
Right. Yeah, no, and we, Commissioner Beechner has done a good job of watching over that because every day is something wants to creep, and we're not going to have that. And do that. One of the things that in that discussion earlier, part of what we try to look at, and I know you've advised us on when we lease something, there is interest on that money. But one of the things with these 3-year lease and sell, we pretty well overcome that because of what we get, because our equipment is in good shape when we sell it. So what I think we really need to assess is, does it happen that way every time? Are we coming out on the sale of the piece of equipment to overcome the interest cost, or are we going in the hole? On the road graders, I know we've been in really good shape. I don't know how we are on the trucks, but if we're talking about a 3-year-old truck with less than 10,000 miles on it.
What is the math? What is the math on that? Just so I'm clear in my mind. Is it the cost of the trade-in? I mean, the cost of the purchase of the second truck applied across, we know we'd keep another 3 years, so would I take the cost of the new truck and then divide it by 6?
well, one of the big factors right now, in my opinion, is having warranty coverage. Because I've got a truck in the shop today.
Telling you, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's why we did this.
I've got one in the shop today that's gonna have a $7,500 repair.
Yeah, and Bob, it's nothing to have a $20,000 repair. We've got a distributor.
Oh, I know.
And that's what we've been really watching.
How many $10,000 and $8,000 repairs have we had in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
But I mean, isn't that truly the way to look at it? Is to say, let's say we gave 130,000, and we're going to get back 95,000. So we're out $35,000.
Divided over.
44,565.
He's not using that same.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
No, so we take that the new truck is going to cost us now to reapply and add on top of the 95,000 we receive, we'll add 35,000 back to it, let's say. So I take $70,000, divide it by a total of 6 years. Is that?
It'd be one way to do it.
divide it by miles, you divide it by years,
If you did it, like you said, the years, the truck cost us $14,000 last year.
And see, a truck in my mind cost a fella $2,500 a month to own outright. And if we can pull that down to half of that cost, it's a good deal.
But the other thing you're not capturing in there is what did you pay in interest above that purchase price? So
Well-
what is your total value of the truck? If it's 3% on that, then you've got.
Well, Willie said on this particular item, we bought it outright.
Yeah.
But there's value, time value, I guess, or money value over time that we could add in top of there too.
well, if we were running the truck for hire, you'd have a revenue stream and you'd have something to tie it back to, and we don't have a revenue stream because that's not what we do, so that makes it a little more difficult to analyze. It'd be very easy if you had that revenue stream to tie back to. You take your day-to-day operating costs, fuel, operator, and all that, you'd have a good number, and you'd know where you were, but without that component, it
But
makes
if I
it
take
more
the
difficult.
first 3-year cost and the second 3-year cost, add them together, divide by the total time,
Well, let's look at it in just real numbers. This 44,565 divided by 3 is 14,000 some change. You divide it by 12 months, it costs us $1,238 a month.
yeah, and that's what I'm telling you.
Cannot beat it.
No, 2,500 is a common, truck payment.
So we're talking less than $1,300 a month. All under warranty, no new tires. We can't lose at that rate.
But I guess I have to go back to the question of a truck we only operate over 3 years of less than 10,000 miles. Did we need it?
Well, they go jump in them little ones that, they're not afraid to scratch up. You know, my guys were afraid to drive that truck for a while. It was too nice. I never had nothing this nice. You know, the seats are not even torn in this truck. Where'd we get it?
We know they do have people that do reupholster truck seats.
I know.
You gotta be careful when they jump in and they slide all the way across, so.
Yeah.
Well, this is probably a discussion, Judge, for a work session that, and I still think it's not a bad idea to do. And I've got a pretty good inventory, but may not be as up to date as I want it to be. But boy, we're seeing some real problems now, like this truck we've got in the shop now. I mean, one day it's running great, next day, it won't perform, and you're $7,500. We hope it's $7,500 all of a sudden. I don't think I've taken anything to shop recently that didn't have turbo out on it. I don't know, we just had another one, our distributor, same way, well, I think turbo's out. Well, I've got turbos on things that have run 10,000 hours, so I began to raise questions. But that's probably a discussion we need to have at a work session, Judge.
Well, I would think get a good inventory,
Yeah.
look at with the particulars on each piece of equipment. And, we need to do that. We've done that years past. It's about time to do it again.
And on mine, just so y'all know, Alexis keeps that inventory, my numbers of everything that's a piece of equipment that Precinct 4 owns and the Precinct 5 stuff that we acquired while we had it's even on theirs too. But she has then an individual folder carrying that number, and every invoice, every ticket of anything, whether I buy a starter, a battery, a tire, whatever, goes into that folder as an expense for that item, and Alexis does it all for me. So she's the one, I tell her which ones go. She doesn't on her own, but I tell her, but she maintains the sheet for me.
Where does she get copies of the bills?
I give them to her. If I check it, I email her a hard copy, and she'll make a copy, and we go on to the auditor with it, but everything coming in, I'm flipping to her. Same as my payroll hours are in there as well, that she tracks on time cards.
I just had an interesting thought. If we assigned a number to those vehicles, I wonder if you could put them, if you wanted to kind of even keep track of what they were doing, you'd enter that in the time clock system as would look like an employee, that you could have the job codes on.
I think it'd be possible.
It might be,
I think you've lost your mind if you're gonna ask Don Farmer or Pete or Jerry to sit down and do job numbers for every time they go patch, or, you know, if they're
Well,
gonna
you-
get
I
that thing,
think-
I'm just telling you.
Well, broad categories, Lee, what I'm thinking.
Let that-
And I tell you, and we use a simple version of this that I'm used to seeing is, just like an attorney or a CPA keeps their client log, we do a similar log in the, International Boring does, and I review that log at the end of the month to see what charges belong to us that come out of there that would, you know, and it's interesting to keep up with that like that. It's just it's basically a diary in a spreadsheet, and it's handwritten, but.
those could be given to Alexis, you could enter that,
Mhm.
do that, you know, just a thought on, you know, when I was commissioner, I had my guys fill out a daily sheet,
Yeah.
and one of those things they had checked, if they have any problems with their vehicle, is
And
anything.
Judge, I think all of our guys pretty much do that. They keep a daily log of what they've done. Lee Donald, I mean, they're used to doing it in a, you know, calendar format, but it's
We do
still,
pre-trip,
it's
post-trip.
easy to put the information. It would be something good she could create.
All right, Commissioner Beach, anything?
Yeah, no, although we didn't have an update on the LEC project on the agenda, just brief update, everything's moving smoothly out there, no major issues this past week. Dirt work's continuing, they'll be starting, electrical utilities and piers next week, so things are moving rather quickly out there. If you haven't been by the site, go by there, it's changing every day. And also like to personally thank members of Redneck Culinary Academy, One Life Church, the Tim Tebow Foundation for Night to Shine Friday night. It was just an amazing event. Leah, wish you got to go inside and see what was going on there.
Well, I got to go to the serving line, but I didn't get to go into the dance and stuff like that.
It was truly
I could have done it.
each honored guest was given a buddy for the evening to take care of their every need. My daughter was paired up with Mallory Royal. She's a cheerleader at Ryder, and just an amazing young lady. I just can't say enough about how pleasant she was, how helpful she was, how over the top, with a servant attitude, servant heart. It does my heart good to see young folks be like that, act like that. It gives you hope for a brighter future. To see some of the honored guests there that were profoundly disabled, and seeing the kind of time that they had. Very severely disabled all the way up to the very high functioning disabled. Just an amazing night. To honor them with something they probably never got to experience before, a prom setting, and everyone was given a crown, king and queen of the prom, and walked the red carpet, rode in limo, sang karaoke, danced. It was just a really, really cool event. Redneck Culinary Academy made it even that much better, so thank you.
The girls got to, I think it took a couple weeks to get it done, but the girls got fitted for a prom dress. And all the dresses were donated, and they were nice dresses. And Ashley told me that the girls got to keep the dresses, which was just
The
cool.
boys got suits and ties.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did. They were, I did see in one room, they were in there doing hair and makeup and,
Fingernails and
but yeah,
everything.
it was just like, it was really cool. Ashley said that the Tim Tebow Foundation is very strict and very regimented on that on Friday night. That had to be done a certain way. You had to have this many people to accommodate our special guests. I mean, she had reports that she had to go fill out and send in that night. I mean, it was very, very A lot of oversight on it, and apparently they tried last year to get it, and they were denied. They have to have at least 75 special guests. They had to shut it off at 150 because of lack of, the building wasn't big enough to do anymore, you know. So it was a really, I don't know, it was a special thing in Wichita Falls.
I hope they get to do it again. That was,
This Friday, we're going to do a little fish fry at noon for our Iwo Jima volunteers. Now, folks, there's not a lot of those left. I don't know how much longer we'll have that here in Wichita Falls, but we've had it for several years. It's gonna be at the Wellington. It's just gonna be a kind of a small group on Friday, and then Saturday night, we're gonna go out there and cook up some chicken fried steak. So, the Gold Star Mothers, I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but a Gold Star Mother is a mom who lost a child in the war. And that's another thing that they honor at the Iwo Jima deal is the Gold Star Mothers. And tell you what, that's pretty heartbreaking. So kind of time to give show some respect for those folks. That's pretty cool.
Who comes to the Gold Star Mothers? I mean,
Just the people, the Iwo
relatives?
Jima. Yes, the survivors of the Iwo Jima family and, no, it's not their mother.
No.
It's the family members of the Iwo Jima
Like the
survivors
Maladon,
that lost
young man
children.
that died in Iraq, his mother.
So let's start over because I knew the name.
Maldonado, he was killed in Iraq.
Yeah.
And
Windthorst,
his
wasn't
mother,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's Wichita.
Is it Wichita?
Yeah, and then we had one Archer County, and two Archer County young men.
Yeah.
But they're invited. We always do that Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And the lady that always came at Burke, her son and I, went to Midwestern together, and she has died now.
Bertha.
Bertha, yeah. So,
And what was cool about Bertha was her children and her grandchildren all come to that to support Bertha in that. It was really cool. And she has since passed.
Commissioner Motley.
It was my honor to get to go and serve as the auctioneer on Thursday night for the Wichita Falls Youth Symphony Orchestra and their fundraiser. And they had a banquet and had a bunch of the young people over to perform for us. Friends, there's lots of talented people in this town, in this area, in this county. I mean, lots of them. A lot of young people that are talented. Those kids do a great job. And we raised some funds for the Youth Symphony Orchestra, and it was a neat deal. Enjoyed it a lot.
Commissioner Watts.
the yesterday, Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner Beecham and I attended an event at Cowdy Creek Ranch. Is it Cowdy Creek?
Cowdy Ranch.
Cowdy Ranch.
I call it Creek all the time.
And
It's just kind of-
it was for veterans that are going through difficult periods in their life, and it's a counseling program, and it was a great time, and it was an honor to be a part of that, and welcome those people that weren't from Wichita in. One of the ladies told me that that she and her twin sister, Barry, you may know, that ran around with my sister in high school, my oldest sister Janice. So I'm not sure if they traveled to come but anyway, we got to visit on that. But on another note, I'd asked Lisa to come back and just elaborate so the court could at least start to digest, Lisa, the number of hours for Tyler U, and we're underway with that training and its scheduling, and Lisa's trying to coordinate how best to handle this. So
we are supposed to be going live, I believe, in June-ish on the Tyler U.
By June 1st.
Yeah. Melissa, our coordinator, has sent out the Tyler U training modules, and I've gotten back with her, and it's about 5 hours to do all of the training. But jail staff and patrol are not going to be able to do that while on duty. So I've gotten with Ashley, and there's not going to be enough money budgeted in the overtime budget right now to pay for all of that. And so we're not sure how we need to go about doing this. I know we can put something in the time clock for Tyler U training, but technicians will be on site, I believe, the middle of April. And so we need to try to figure out something now, that way when these people are on, the Tyler staff are on site, it's not the first time that jail staff or patrol staff are seeing the software. Because there are several, you know, we've got the subject matter experts that are also going to be there, but they're going to be on the job, sitting with jail staff or with patrol, writing reports and stuff like that. And so we need to try to get this online training done as quickly as possible, but they need to be paid for their overtime as well when they're doing it. Because I mean, they're required to do it. As far as I know, it's a requirement to do this training. So I just don't know how to go about getting them the training and getting paid for it.
Straight time costs at least is projected not to include any overtime on ones that would be affected, but we're looking at straight time cost of 20 grand.
Well, we're not required to pay overtime for training. We can pay straight time.
There's a,
I mean, like the jail staff, when they, you know, they always at least work their 80 for the most part. So anything when they come in and do the training, we are able to track it. So if they do it from the house, we will be able to track the time that they're on their computer, logged into the system, so that we can verify if they want to do the training from their house. We're also going to set up a training area in the sheriff's office for them to be able to come in. But I would think that majority of those hours are going to be overtime.
No.
There's not many in the jail that don't get overtime.
Okay, training hours are not paid at overtime. So they can work 80 hours and put in 80 more hours of training, and it's all paid straight down.
I just need to know how these people are going to get paid, because they're going to have to get paid for it. We're requiring them to do it.
There's gonna have to be some compromise between their regular schedule and that training. The sheriff has the flexibility to do that on patrol officers. Now, on jailers, you don't have much.
No.
Now, you're saying that's in the Fair Labor Standards Act, that, you know, you need to.
Yeah, when Corporate USA can do it, I'm pretty sure we can do it too.
That law is not the same always through for governmental employees as it is for private.
is that something Corey could flush out for us, I guess? Because Lisa's saying, you know, we could even track that particular time in time clock separate and apart from, it is a way to code it in.
We can add a task for Tyler U training.
And then I'm sure that the Tyler U stats can feed us back something as well on user numbers. But I just wanted everyone aware of the cost of how we're going to best.
Okay. See what you can find out on what Commissioner Harvey can say
Okay.
with Corey.
I'll
Check that out.
talk with him and get something out there.
Okay.
But thanks for staying on top of that, Lisa, because that helps a lot.
Yes, sir.
We have a Commissioner Court meeting 9 a.m. this Wednesday to pay payroll and we're briefing on jail maintenance. Need that meeting to move along though. Commissioner Beach and I have a meeting with the city manager at 10 to discuss some of the jail project issues we're having with them. Friday at 10, we have a regular business session. Since we're not going to be here Monday and y'all are going to be gone the rest of the week to BG Young. So Friday will be a recorded court meeting. And Monday is a holiday, then we will meet again on Tuesday. No, we won't meet on Tuesday because that's, y'all are gone. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Will we meet that Friday?
We're meeting this Friday.
No.
We're just right. We're
After
not meeting
BG Young.
Friday, no.
After BG Young, which ends Thursday,
Okay,
we
no.
coming back Thursday night meeting Friday.
Right now, we don't, but there may be some reason, but I can't see what the difference right now. My crystal ball doesn't say it's any different to meet on Friday than on Monday. But we didn't want to go another week without that, especially with the payroll weekend there. All right. It's 11:16 and we're. That's next.
Oh,
That's
that's
Friday.
Friday. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, yeah.
I'm getting confused. Your turn.